Welcome to Nintendo Historia, and we're up to a pretty little exciting episode here. We are talking about the one and only Game Boy camera. This thing, yes, we are showing. It's a camera to a camera. Obviously, I used the Logitech C920, which is a very modern camera. They can go up to HD video recording and 15 megapixel photos, but this thing probably couldn't even do 50 kilobyte photos. This thing was pretty old, and it did hold the record in 1999 to be the world's smallest digital camera. But of course, technology got a lot better over that time. So let's have a look at a little history lesson of this. The Game Boy camera was released in Japan September 17th, 1998. But it was released apparently a little earlier in North America during the 1st and during the 4th for Europe and Australia when it came out. And I remember buying this thing. Obviously you can use it with the Game Boy printer, which is a very cool object too. Came in 5 colours: blue, green, red, yellow, clear purple for Japan, and gold for the special Zelda edition of it, of course, which was fantastic. Now, it worked with the Game Boy printer, and that would, I believe, it would attach a little cord to, the cord should be, probably would attach to the Game Boy via the link cable, I would say, by that sort of data. Now, it was a quirky little thing, and some of the features that it came with was it could store up to 30 photos to the camera memory, rotatable camera lens, which you could do. You could adjust the brightness, contrast, and depth, invert viewfinder horizontal or vertically, built-in photo timer. You could create 2 or more images merged or in a split screen, add captions to photos, view save photos in a slideshow. You could add the user's photo to some of the mini games. You could use the Super Game Boy accessory to videotape animations and slideshows. And you can trade photos with other players using a Game Link cable. And you, of course, you can print photos with the Game Boy printer. Now, this thing was a pretty cool object. And there were some differences with this one and the Japan version. Now, there was different variations internationally, and such of these examples was the first Space Fever 2 boss is a drawn picture. Mario dances a bit differently at the beginning of the game. Most of the stamps are different. No Mario stamps, more Pokemon stamps. Album B photos are different. So this is a very peculiar little item, and it was a lot of fun to see. Now, it had 3 awesome games. Pretty cool games, actually. It had Ball, which is sort of a remake of the first Game & Watch game that was released in 1980, which is now 36 years ago. I also had DJ, while shooting the spaceship with a D on it on the Space Fever. You can create a tune by selecting the select button and the D-pad, which was cool. Now, Space Fever 2, which was sort of an arcade shooter they had on this, was it's a sequel to the game they made in 1979, which is a 37-year-old game, and that was made by Nintendo. So basically like a space shooter type game. And the other one is Run, 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 where you race against a groundhog and a bird. So you got to press the button really quickly. So it's a bit of a button mashing game, that one. So that was very cool. And this thing, I believe, I'm trying to figure out what price it was in Australia. I think it would have been something like $50-60. I heard rumours it was something like $100, but I don't think I would have paid that much for it. That's a really good question. I would love people in Australia and worldwide to ask what the price was for this thing. It's a lovely thing. Let's put in a couple consoles to boot it up a little bit on our history lesson. Now, you can hear that sound. And it's very hard to see in black and white, to be honest. So what we're going to do, now it does work on the GBA, but because of the way it's modelled, you can't really take photos very well, but you can see what's on the screen. So a little bit of, and you can shoot, view, and play, which is a fantastic little thing. And I really enjoy it. Oh! Let me just play that again. And this was Space Fever, which is sort of a game where you can play a little bit. And it's just fun. It's a fun little lesson. Sorry, this is... Oh dear. So we might have to... So we'll just show it off one more time. Oh, this is amazing. Okay. You get the picture of some of the games on it, and they were very cool. And this is the camera. This was the camera itself, what you can actually see. And you can actually see the actual camera that I use today. And for me, so I think we might bring this to a wrap about the history of the Game Boy camera, but it was a really cool object. It was a really cool thing, and came in different colors, and it was fantastic. Lots of secrets and little games, and it's a very quirky Nintendo-like accessory. This is some of the craziness in the games that they put together. And they were thinking of doing a sequel for the GameCube era, but things didn't work out and they weren't too happy with it. But you know, the DS had a little camera to it too. So I guess the Game Boy camera does live on in the DS and the 3DS era with 3D and things like that. So who knows if they'll keep on doing stuff like that in the future consoles, but it's a cool little piece here. So that is it for our history lesson here, and I hope that I will see you next time here on Nintendo Historia by Nintendo Ninja News.